Hey guys, as some of you guys may know, I like to write, and I came up with this idea for a short story, and I thought maybe I could pitch it here at the start of this video, and you guys could tell me if it's any good in the comments. So basically, I want to do this like cyberpunk thing where the world has gotten so interconnected that you just know pretty much everything that's going on at all times, and you can get it all very readily available just in your pocket. And of course, because it's a cyberpunk thing set in the future, there's going to be a lot of corporations that are trying to cash in on that knowledge that everyone knows everything all at once. And all the corporate big shots are going to come up with this plan that incentivizes high dopamine responses, like things like gambling. Oh, hold on. What's that? Oh, it's happening right now. It's actually way worse than that. Okay. When do we get the hover bikes? Oh, those are out too. And they're $800,000. Okay. So it's just for the rich. Normally, I don't like to follow any current events in my videos or put anything kind of political in my sphere, but this one just kind of stuck out to me and I feel the need to talk about it. This might actually be one of the first videos I talk about that doesn't have any mention of gaming, but I still think it's something that we should probably discuss even a little bit. I don't know if it's a worldwide phenomenon, but I can tell you for sure that it's going on here in America. Follow me over to the computer. Welcome to the computer. I'm sorry the lighting is really freaky and strange right now, but it's snowing outside and it's cozy and it's nice, so you're just going to have to be a part of this with me. So yeah, like I said in the beginning, the corporate greed that has pretty much moved us into a place where the most hot commodity is people's attention has spread into these weird loopholes that have created pathways for companies to allow legal gambling in the United States and states that it is completely illegal. Now, I know a lot of places like the state in which I live, a lot of the states that I have lived, have opened up the ability for sports gambling, and you can't go anywhere on ESPN without saying DraftKings, the other one. Those are sports books. Now, I'm going to get a little nerdy here for a second because I did some preliminary research here, and I want to make sure that I am correct. Those are sports books, and that is a thing that used to be something that was entirely done through Vegas casino type things. Don't know why I'm doing the Trump thing right now. Those companies, DraftKings and all of those, are sports books. They are something that used to be only available in specific regions and specific places where you had to physically walk in and engage in whatever your sports bet was. Now, of course, we know that you can run a 20-leg parlay with your whole Thanksgiving family in the middle of a public bathroom. You know what I mean? But a sports book is very strictly legislated because it is gambling, and that's why it's being legalized slowly in several different states. It's not something that has been federalized yet. But for the same reason that companies like Stake manage to operate within the U.S. because they are outside of the U.S. and operate with that weird crypto kind of like leveling that's not buying things with USD, there have been other loopholes that have now been transferred over into high market value US dollar transactions that are considered not gambling, but investing. Take a look at the screen. This right here is something I was just made aware of by a Jarvis Johnson video. Shout out Jarvis Johnson. You will never see this. This is a company that well, actually, I take that back. This is a website that operates on top of a company called PolyMarket, which you may have heard of. It is very similar to the more popular, or not more popular, but the more spoken about online, Kalshi. Kalshi being a trading market predicting the future, where, to put it in really brief kind of stock terms, and when you can buy futures of certain things on the New York Stock Exchange, that is what they are making this out to be. And the future market has been legal for a long time. Gold futures, stuff like that. We have spread beyond that. We are into this weird, freakish, late-stage capitalism, losing your house on the toilet kind of thing. And here in walks companies like Kalshi and PolyMarket. Now, of course, Kalshi's a little off topic. PolyMarket is what I'm about to talk about is built off of, and it is exactly the same as Kalshi. It's a prediction market for the future, and when I say prediction market, I guess I need to get into this because it's so ridiculous to me that it just doesn't make any sense. But basically, a prediction market is exactly what you're seeing on the screen right now. It is a series of things that could happen, and technically speaking, you could guess based on knowledge of political events, news sources, and everything. One of the examples that I've seen a lot floating around online is the discussion of when the Epstein files were going to be released, which, of course, it was dated to be released, I believe, December 18th, and here we are in January 24th, and, But a lot of people they invested in it being put out December 18th, and they lost that investment. They went flatline on it. They put a lot of money in, or they didn't, because there's actually a huge problem with these websites that I'm jumping the gun to get ahead of, because there is no law on insider trading with websites like this, because there is no law on insider knowledge about Israel striking Iran by January 31st. And that sort of thing, should someone have knowledge, such as the New York Times getting exclusive knowledge on the capture of the president of Venezuela before it was known to the public, someone who worked in the New York Times could go on a website like PolyMarket or Kalshi and make egregious amounts of money through what is known in the stock world as insider trading. Now, this layered thing on top of PolyMarket called PolyGlobe, I would like to take a moment and say that I do not stand by any of these. If that is not apparent, I do not want you to go to these websites. I do not want you to fund these companies, because these companies are absolutely skimming off of people who are addicted to gambling and want, more than anything, to gamble on everything. Anyways, back on topic. PolyGlobe is a layered thing that you're seeing happen in front of you right now on top of PolyMarket that is showing a graphical visualization of every global issue that can be invested in. This means that here in the U.S., there's a lot of stuff going on that is, stuff like, will Julie Gonzalez be the Democratic nominee for Senate in Colorado? Right now, we are looking at a 6-cent investment on that. Let me try to grapple with this for a second, because that is a 6-cent price investment, but we're not buying shares of anything, because there aren't shares of whether or not Julie Gonzalez is going to be the Democratic nominee. Okay, I figured it out. We are making up things. We have made up shares that can be bought with certain amounts and values. Like right here, we've got the trade list, which you could see on, your E-Trade or your Charles Schwab kind of thing. This right here is fake. This essentially, we are looking at the Steam marketplace of real life. But not even, because the Steam marketplace, at least you get a little thing that you can look at in a video game. This is straight up gambling. You do not own anything. When you put down your 6 cents per share of this, like this person right here bought $20 of Julie Gonzalez being nominated as the Democratic senator. And they bought nothing. They put money down for nothing. They do not have a ticket. Like when you buy stocks, like it is a legally bound thing to your account through your broker, and you have something. Like you may not be able to hold your shares of stock, and you may not have anything, but you're invited to your shareholder stuff. You get your dividends if you're in a dividend stock, all of that. This is nothing. You are betting. This is a bet. I am getting so fired up right now. This is a bet on the Senate, and this is not the worst. That is extremely tame, actually. I believe Kalshi was putting out an ad campaign before the 2024 election where you could bet on different stuff that happened in the election, like who would say things during a speech, like will Trump mention North Dakota in a speech? And if he did, you made a huge payout, and if he didn't, tough luck. But like I said, this is a very tame bet. It's not I'm not saying like a tame bet, like, oh, you should go bet right now. You should not. I absolutely do not stand with this thing. I think that is a very tame bet, because if we come up to here, somewhere like in Minneapolis, we've got a lot of news, because as we know, right now in January of 2026, there's a lot coming out of Minneapolis. The amount of unrest that's going on up in Minneapolis is historic, and it's very, very tragic. Wouldn't you like to bet on that? Take a look at this. We currently have a bet with a 28-cent price per share of the Minneapolis Border Patrol shooter being charged. I'm not going to go into the deep political side of all of that, because there is a huge tragedy that has occurred, several huge tragedies up in Minneapolis and across the entire nation because of what is going on with Border Patrol. But it astounds me that news, look at that. I don't even know what that was that just happened in front of us, but the news in which is going on up there right now is becoming people's gambling. The people are genuinely putting money down on what they think the outcome of a genuine national news level tragedy is. That's just here in the US. If we take it over to somewhere where there's an active conflict such as Ukraine and Russia, oh my God, I'm so American. Where is Ukraine? There it is. We could see that there is a full-on red marked DMZ type looking map. This is some Hearts of Iron stuff. And you know why I can look at this Hearts of Iron type map and read all this news about live tweets, like explosions related to 14 AFVs struck by Lazar? I don't know what that means, but we have live data coming in from places across the world, which technically may or may not be true, because from what I can tell, this is coming in from Twitter. But this live data is being used to update essentially a frontline map of this conflict, and you can bet on it. You can invest in Russia capturing the city of Lyman for 21 cents an investment. Does that not sound so made up? Before, like when you would go to Vegas to bet on something predictive, or if you bought futures in the New York Stock Exchange, you were buying futures on prices or you were buying outcomes of games. Now we are buying outcomes of war. We're not even buying them. We are gambling on them because there is nothing that we own. I say we, I'm not a part of this. There is nothing that users own through this. And think about this. Put yourself in the shoes of somebody on the front lines of this conflict. You absolutely, with knowledge, if you were a higher up in either the Russian or Ukrainian army and you knew something was about to happen, you could invest in your own war and be paid by PolyMarket, the company, using the scraps of other people's money on their failed bets on their sports and their games and their speeches. This sucks. This is a monumental flaw that we as humans have to prioritize our own personal gain and our own personal greed. And the companies know that the adrenaline rush that we get from seeing, oh, I hit my parlay, is going to transfer over to other real world things you could bet on. This isn't, betting $20 with your friend that you could do something, you shouldn't do. This is betting any amount of money, which is being paid not to anyone that you are betting on, but this company. And of course there are people on the internet that are telling you about the strategies and how you should be listening to the news, but they're not listening to the news. They're listening to Twitter, and this website shows tweets. This is completely deranged. There is no Kalshi method. There is no PolyMarket tech. You are an idiot. If you think that your way to get rich quick is to bet on the outcome of a war, maybe that's just the stage of capitalism we are in now. For the last couple of years, there's always been a thing. Around 2020, we had NFTs blowing up, and NFTs were just so stupid. Like, when was the last time you heard somebody talk about an NFT or let alone show you theirs? And then a few years ago, crypto started hitting it big, which kind of coincided with the NFT thing, but that caused the graphics card shortage to cause those to spike in price, while a bunch of people mined for numbers. The price of stuff like that is solely based on the speculation of the people who want to buy it. There is no backing for things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of those cryptocurrencies, except for the digital backing that they work off of. I could be wrong and I don't understand it, but as far as I know, it ain't like the gold standard. This may also be a personal thing, but I think if your currency is the primary option to pay for stuff on the dark web, it's probably not a great look. But with crypto, with NFTs, and now with AI, there has been a reciprocal grift going on the last couple of years that has created this sucker's market of people who are using completely automated tools to create ways to skim money, scam money, and make money off of people who probably aren't doing too good themselves if they're looking for a way to make money quick and make ends meet, especially in ways such as PolyMarket, where they're betting on different outcomes of stuff. The payout of apps like DraftKings and things like that is alluring, absolutely, because they promise, $200 free on your first bet. That kind of thing is so scummy because that is the exact concept of your first hit is free. It's all about keeping these corporations on top, and it's a weird thing for my channel to be talking about corporate nonsense right now, but it is really getting to me how much everything wants your money and how everything is one big grift. The amount of lying and falsehoods that go on, especially here in America, just to get money out of people is absolutely bizarre. The day that they fully eradicate things where I can't even own a digital version of games, even though I know Steam support would never let that happen because they would go to the ends of the earth to find whoever logged into your account, it's still just very scary that there's even a possibility that you could lose access to everything. And I'm not saying that you should go buy an MP3 player and a DVD player and start hoarding media, because that's not something that everyone has the space or the money or the time to do. I enjoy it, and I have a bunch of thrifted old DVDs and a, refurbed iPod and stuff, but that's because I'm a freaking dork. I absolutely don't think you should do that, and I absolutely think that whatever is most convenient for you or whatever the kind of aesthetic you want to go for is in your favor. I think you should pick what you watch, listen to, and read based on what you like and how convenient you are willing to pay for things. Because obviously the rise of the Bluetooth device came from convenience. We know that it's going to be a higher audio fidelity to sit down with a digital analog converter with some good headphones and really listen to a lossless file. But do you know how many words I just said when you could have just popped in your AirPods and put on Spotify and the amount of time that it took me to say it? What I'm getting at is that there is a sucker's market that exists of very scummy people. And I don't think that the people who buy into the high-level corporations, I don't think that you're necessarily getting suckered. However, I do think that because of the nature of how corporations have changed with their low price structure in the beginning that is now doubled, I believe, companies like Netflix are aware of what they are doing to you, and it's kind of up to the consumer to be aware of what they are willing to be subjected to by a corporation. Basically, this whole video was a long spiel not to gamble. Don't play Destiny 2. Basically what I'm trying to say is be aware of what you are spending stuff on. If you are buying something from a small business, or if you are, purchasing music through secondhand music stores where those still exist, you're funding someone, especially your artists that are being underfunded by streaming services, in a much more personal way that feels much more human. I don't want corporations to completely dehumanize everything we do and incentivize the money, gain, and power that comes from things like PolyMarket and gambling. And I especially hate that things like PolyMarket and gambling drive these young creators to fake being wealthy, to try to scam people out of money to make their courses and things like that, like we've seen so many times before. I am full on rambling, and I'm going to wrap this video up now with a moral lesson that gambling is bad, video games are cool, homework is boring, but you gotta do it. I've been Conrad on YouTube. If you like this video, please watch my other videos on YouTube. If you didn't like this video, don't watch my other videos on YouTube. Don't repost them anywhere else and watch them, because I will know. I want everybody in the comments below to talk about their favorite time that they gambled. Don't do that, actually. Don't tell me about your least favorite time that you gambled. That's just going to be sad. Actually, don't tell me anything in the comments at all. If you want to tell me something in the comments, send a wolf emoji twice.